Jessica Jones, the show, gives me what I've always wondered about and wanted to see, was curious to see in Marvel movies. Super sex. Jessica Jones, Season 1. Okay, so Jessica Jones Season 1 follows Jessica Jones. She is a private investigator and she has superpowers and she lost her parents when she was very young. Very common superhero plot. As a private investigator, she fights crime that way and she has superpowers and she's trying to take down a villain who she has a past with, who mind controlled her in the past, named Kilgrave. And they address in the show how stupid of a name that is. But Kilgrave has mind control powers, and that's kind of freaky. And she's fighting that. And if you really start to think about it, you're like, how would a person fight that? And she figures a way to do it. Anyway, it's great, and it's just so much better than any of the Marvel movies, really. I mean, the only Marvel movie for me that really even inches close is probably The Winter Soldier. That's not even a comparison. It's just so great that these shows are on Netflix, because Netflix can show all the shit that Disney and Marvel won't allow, and because they just want PG-13 so they can be accessible to all people. But I love that Netflix is doing this so we cannot hide from like the dark shit. Some of that dark shit that I'm talking about, this show deals with rape. It has a lot of violence. Trust me, if you've seen the show, you know what I'm talking about. If you haven't seen the show, nothing I'm going to say is really going to explain how fearless this show is with the subject matter. And that all works for me because it's just really well developed, and it's developed to a place where the drama is so intense that there's nothing else to do but to be violent with each other. And the thing is, if you're dealing with mind control, then there's no reason, if you're on a platform like Netflix where you can do anything, there's no reason to hide. You can just do it all. It's nice. That sounds weird. Violence and touchy subjects are nice. But as I said, it's just a really well developed drama. The thing about Jessica Jones is that you can't really be like, oh, it's a great superhero show. It's just a good show. My only real issue with season 1 is that throughout the episodes, the show expands and it becomes fleshed out. And there's a lot of subplots with a lot of characters. And the thing is, that's good and all, but a lot of them felt unnecessary and a bit forced. Slight spoilers ahead. Some of them include Simpson. I found a lot of his individual shit not connecting to Trish to be a little bit unnecessary in the later episodes. Jessica's neighbor, who has the afro, can't remember his name. I wish I could. A lot of his shit, he just kind of enters, and I have this kind of gut reaction that Jessica's just gonna be like, hey, like, fuck off. What do you mean to me? But she doesn't do that, and it just continues. I wasn't really attached to that subplot. The subplot of her upstairs neighbor who lost her brother, and she becomes very whiny. I wasn't attached to that one either. I went on and off with Trish. All of Trish's shit that was attached to Jessica was good, and I enjoyed the crap out of it. Same goes for Hogarth too. All of her shit attached to Jessica, and some of her other shit is interesting, but not all of it is. And that's my main point, is that a lot of the subplots not to do with Jessica or the immediacy of the situation felt a little bit unnecessary, and parts that I could probably go on my phone during. I also found the ending to be a little bit anticlimactic, given all the given circumstances and all the capabilities it could have had to be this big epic set piece and ending, but it was just a little bit anticlimactic for me. But don't get me wrong, it's great. This show and Daredevil have really resurrected my belief that Marvel can make good stuff. They're both great. And because I love comparing art and judging art, let's make a comparison. This is going to be a new and hopefully regular thing that I do on my channel, and it's called Comparisons and Shit. Basically, when I feel that there is a comparison to be made, I'm just gonna do it, and we'll see what comes out on top. My first category is combat slash fighting. I included this as a category because it's an important part of both shows, so let's talk about it. The combat in Daredevil is breathtakingly good. It's amazing. It's so good. Can you remember that scene where, I think it was in the second or third episode, it was just an unbroken shot in a hallway, and he was just taking guys out left and right, and it lasted like a minute or two, and he was just destroying the hallway and the drywall, and everyone was getting beat the shit out of. That was a badass scene. I remember that scene. The combat in Jessica Jones is good, but it's not as amazing as Daredevil's combat. So for combat, I'm going to give the point to Daredevil. My next category is writing. I included writing as opposed to directing because for a TV show, I think the writing and the role of the writers is more important than a director. Don't get me wrong, the director's role on the TV show is good, but they come and go, you know? So the writing. Both shows are written extremely well, and I've talked about how both the shows, you can't even really consider them to be superhero shows because they're just well fleshed out dramas about great characters. So they're both well written in that way. But what's going to put Jessica Jones over the edge for me is that Daredevil at times felt a little bit repetitive in the fact that I feel like basically 4 times an episode he would go and beat someone up and be like, what's the information I need to get? I'll beat you up if you don't tell me. And that was like his only tactic, and it just got a little bit annoying and repetitive. But the thing about Jessica Jones is that the plot, it just weaves through a lot of different things, and it's unpredictable. So for that, I'm going to give writing to Jessica Jones. Next one. Villain. Okay, both villains are great. I feel like I'm saying that for every single round. But Kilgrave is amazing. He's an amazing villain. Amazing performance by David Tennant. And Wilson Fisk is also amazing with a great performance by Vincent D'Onofrio. Both are just great and have great contrast to the hero and powerful and intimidating. Well, I have to say that I do enjoy the treatment of the villain better in Daredevil, and the flashback episode for Wilson Fisk made me cry. But I have to give the villain to Jessica Jones because the threat of mind control that's so threatening. Like, what can you do? There's such a battle there, and it's really, really well developed. And he's just so intimidating. Like, you don't know when he's going to start laughing or just make people shoot themselves. And that's scary. So, villain goes to Jessica Jones. Because I did villain. Hero. Okay, so we got Jessica Jones. You got Daredevil. Jessica Jones is very adamant, I'm not a hero. Daredevil is very adamant, I'm not a hero. They're heroes. Both are great. I gotta stop saying that. They're both great in very different ways. They're very different heroes. I find Daredevil to be a really aggressive presence and really, like, physically intimidating. And Jessica Jones is too, but I find her to be much more calm and, like, intellectual, which is weird because I wouldn't have anticipated that when I saw the trailer or first few episodes from Jessica Jones, which was nice. But the reason I'm going to give hero to Daredevil is because of the performance of Kristen Ritter, who is good, but not great. Charlie Cox, who plays Matt Murdock, Daredevil, is great. Kristen Ritter I found to be a little bit pretend, and honestly a little bit average. That's why hero goes to Daredevil. Tied up 2-2. Final round. The extremely specific category of overall dramatic heft. I'm including this because out of a lot of TV shows, that's just something that I don't get. Like a lot of the dramatic moments feel rushed over, glossed over, superficial. That's what I don't get from a lot of TV. That's why I don't watch a lot of TV. And both of these shows have that. But the winner of my comparison, which clearly means a lot to the world, is Daredevil. Daredevil has a lot more dramatic heft, and it made me cry a couple times. And Jessica Jones does have it, but feels a little bit more anticlimactic. It's not just for those reasons, but it's mostly those reasons that I consider Daredevil to be a better show, which doesn't really matter, but comparisons. I like to make them, don't take them too seriously, just have fun with it, and try to be intellectual about shit. That's my advice to the world. But do not get me wrong at all, Jessica Jones is fantastic. Jessica Jones Season 1 gets an 8.5 out of 10. Thanks for watching. Hit like, hit subscribe. I'm going to do more comparison videos because I like doing the comparisons. And I think it's worth it to study those in kind of in that in-depth way of looking at two things in a specific and similar circumstance and genre and compare them. And I like doing it. So I'm going to keep doing those. It's also worth mentioning, I saw Creed and The Night Before both the second time today. The Night Before held up. It was just as good the second time. Creed was good the second time. Slightly worse the second time. Just for your knowledge, if you watched my other reviews. Which, if not, go watch them. What are you doing? What are you doing? Anyway, yeah, if you like this video, check out all my other shit. And stay tuned for more, mostly movie reviews.